Hello, welcome to game 4 of the quarterfinals, and we enter this one 3-0 down, feeling very beaten up, very disenchanted, very unmotivated to play this one. But still, we're here, we still have to do something. So, the board has Marauder on it, no trashing for the ruins, trashing for the coppers is slow and counterfeit. There's a lot of points on Orchard, and I wasn't really sure what to do with Lost Arts here. So I decided to just go after the Orchard points for some time and then see what happened after that. I didn't really have a clear goal or plan in this game. Just still feeling pretty beat up, which is bad. I shouldn't be like that, but it is what it is. Anyways, so we both open Marauder and Silver. I want the Silver to try to get the counterfeit as soon as possible. And my opponent gets a Scheme, as do I, to try to stuff as many ruins in his deck as possible. Blessed Village for my opponent here gets a nice boon. Most of the boons are doing nice, honestly. This one is okay, might help me get to counterfeit. Well, I didn't need it. Could get lost arts, but I do see a point to getting lost arts here, as I said from the beginning. But the counterfeit is nice. Mint is an idea, but I don't want to get rid of my only silver. The silver is going to be very important for the remainder of this game with all the junk around. Another plus card boon for my opponent, so that's good for him. And spoils come out to get a counterfeit for him. So both have one of those. And on my 5 here, I go for a highway. Artificer is probably better, and my opponent will show you why the Artificer is better soon. But I ended up going for the highway just because I was planning to get a second counterfeit, and maybe I could do something with the buys on the counterfeit. It's not a good plan, honestly. It's not a good plan, but it is what I ended up choosing to do here. 7 and 2 buys could be another highway, but instead I choose to take my 2 buys to pick up 2 action cards, one of which is a village and another is a scheme. So really, like I said, I'm just trying to rack up these orchard points as quickly as possible here, which is why I went for that play. Now I have 3 schemes, which is very good, and I should be able to top deck this Marauder often, fairly often. Hopefully try not to lose the ruin split. 6 and 2 buys for my opponent, and here's where I believe he turns for an artificer. He could go for another counterfeit. That was also an option for me there, but I wanted to get the 2 actions. Maybe second counterfeit is better. I do want a second counterfeit at some point, just because I said my plan is the highways thing with some plus buy. Like, I know the deck is never going to be very consistent and show me all the highways followed by the counterfeit after that, but I don't know, maybe it might still be able to do something here. I don't know. Anyways, a guide now for me because I have all these schemes that would get me the orchard points, or so I thought anyway. It seems like I don't. And I notice here, oh no, not yet. I noticed later. Anyways, another blessed village for my opponent. Moon is very nice. They get to top deck the counterfeit, which is very, very good for him. So he's been getting some nice boons from that. I did get a silver, which is cool. I finally get my 3rd scheme here. So now I do have the 4 points for the orchard. And second artificer for my opponent. So I didn't really see much point in the artificer. I thought they were like nearly the same thing, the artificer and the highway. But as it turns out, they're slightly different. Artificer can gain, which is important, and they're fairly cheap things on the board to gain. You can gain a 3 cost, like a guide or a scheme or something, should you need to do so. And highway cannot do that. Alright, so here, what to counterfeit? I could counterfeit the spoils and have more money, but I decided to just counterfeit the copper, get a second counterfeit, and pick up another guide. The guides will be quite good too. I considered opening guide and marauder to try to find the marauder more quickly, but I decided to go with the scheme just to, guarantee junking kind of thing here. I do get to land another ruin into my opponent's deck, and luckily I have enough for a guide, which is cool. Put the marauder back. Hopefully my opponent cannot junk me. Probably can, to be honest. He's near the end of his shuffle. As it turns out, he is able to junk me. And here's where I notice something very interesting. This is very lucky. By the way, this is extremely lucky. Extremely lucky. This doesn't happen all the time, especially when ruins are going back and forth. I end up with 3 ruined markets, so I get points for that. I get points for that. I don't know if my opponent was tracking that, but I have 4 points for that, which is cool. 4 extra points, which he won't be able to get. I get a nice boon off the Blessed Village here, right? The gift that lets me gain a focus, which is nice. I can gain a guide or something with this copper here. I decided, although, to instead of taking the boon right away, to guide this hand away, because this is not a good hand. But I think it's better to discard the copper, gain the guide or whatever, and then call guide on this hand, because I get to put the guide back in the deck and I can see it more quickly. And also there's an additional reason for doing that, which you'll see on my next turn, but let's focus on my opponent's turn here. He spent some time thinking, and this is where things start to look bleak for me here, very bleak. He has a lot of money, well, a lot of money relative to the board anyway. 7 and 3 buys. What he ends up doing is put in the Lost Arts token, which I initially and through the most of the game so far saw no point in. Puts that token on the poorhouse and then buys one. And that looks very good for him. There's schemes, there's artificers, and there's poorhouses. So he can do some very nice things here with the combination of those 3 cards. Yeah, so this is why you take the boon first. This was very sad, very, very sad. But yeah, so this is why you take the boon first. As I was saying, the scheme, the artificer, and the poorhouse, they're very, very nice. They work well together. The artificer can gain the poorhouse very easily, and then put it on top of the deck. Potentially he can draw it with any combination of scheme or village, and then play that gained poorhouse. Artificer can discard treasures to make the poorhouse worth more. So there's a lot of nice things you can do with those 3 cards especially, which I didn't see at all until he showed me, and now it's too late for me. It's 2 poorhouses and 3 artificers, and I don't have a single artificer. So I was feeling lost at this point. I have my my 3 plus buys, my 3 ruined markets. That's what I have, and I actually decided to use it because I mean I have it, right? So why not try to use it is what I was thinking. So by that I mean I am gonna pick up another highway here. So I do have 3 of those now, and get the points from the orchard. I pick up a poorhouse here because, well, it's points if I get 3 of them, and they might be worth some money. I'm not sure. It's not so good for me with the second counterfeit, but I don't want my opponent to get all of them, and I would like to get 3 for points, 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 points. Mostly just for that, honestly. I don't expect these poorhouses to do any good work for me here. So my opponent does some tricks, gains poorhouse, plays poorhouse, buys province, which is very nice for them. Very, very nice for them. Here, I have lots of options. Somehow, I don't know how, but I have lots of options. 3 buys, and I can buy 3 of these things, which is going to be another highway and 2 more artificers. I thought the reason I bought that highway is because I didn't realize I had 3 of them already, so I ended up buying a 4th one accidentally. Oops, that could have been triple artificer for 4 points, but we didn't end up doing that. Anyways, my opponent is now going after the highways just for the points, right? Not much else. Of course, it works well with the artificer, but I assume he's just doing it to get points. A couple of marauders gets us 4 points as well, so that's something to keep note of. I go for a village here. Getting this boon is very nice. Very, very nice. I see a decent hand for it here as well. Wind's Gift. Wind's Gift. And I take a poorhouse. I think I need 1 more poorhouse to be able to get the points from it. Second province for my opponent, showing me a couple of poor houses. So again, yeah, things don't look too hot for me. Yeah. I call guide first, and then I take the Wind's Gift. The Wind's Gift is a little uncomfortable there. I get rid of the poor houses because I didn't think I would be able to play them. Turns out I find a couple of villages, so there is that. There is that. And I gain a poor house, put it on top of the deck here. I don't have to discard anything for it. I get the 4 points for it. Now piles are thin, very, very thin. There's 3 villages, 1 poor house, 4 highways, 4 schemes. Um, the game can end very quickly, so I have to pay attention to that and try to keep on top of points. So that means province here. Well, what do I get with the province? Well, I need 1 more artificer for points, so I'll take that. And what do I take with this last bit of money here? Well, I decide, look, I'm gonna take the poor house. If my opponent can win by again 3 villages plus points, fine, he can win, right? But in lieu of that, in case he doesn't manage to do that, well, I make it a bit easier for me to win on my next turn. I will be able to put back 2 highways, which is very nice. And I have a lot of plus buy in the deck, right? I have 3 ruins, which give me plus buy, and another counterfeit. Plus Artificer gaining. So I have guides as well, which I probably won't call because I'll be scheming cards. But anyways, my point is I'm gonna take a chance here. So do buy the poor house, put 2 highways back on top. So I do see a plus buy, which is very nice. And as it turns out, I do manage to find another plus buy. My opponent doesn't manage to get enough points here to win, actually. So surprisingly, I wasn't at all expecting to win this game, especially considering the thought that my opponent put into this game with the artificers, the poor houses, and the scheme. I seriously thought he had a better idea. He outplayed me for most of this game here. I was expecting to lose 4-0, but Ruin Market is a good card. I don't know what you want me to say about that. Anyways, thanks for watching. At least we don't get swept for nothing, right? At least we don't get swept. So just double checking to make sure I have the win here. Yep, I even got an extra plus buy from this village. So that's real cool. Real cool. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.